Thanks for inviting me today. The innovation centres are here basically to help you give a better service to your customers. We're here to support economic development. And listening to the presentations earlier, I don't understand why we haven't been talking more to the tourism sector. Earlier this year, we got a programme from the government to go out and promote how to accelerate the uptake of technology, sensing, imaging, the Internet of Things, and they prioritised a number of areas. Tourism was one of them. The others were transport, healthcare, smart cities. I can't remember what the other one was. But the key message we got out of it was we got more interest from the tourism sector than we got from any other one. We ran a pilot event in Balloch and we were inundated. We've had queries from across the country, from the West Highland Way to individual tourist venues in the north of Scotland to a street in Glasgow that's got a lot of restaurants on it. So the reason the government's picked the Internet of Things as one of the innovation centres is it's a disruptive technology. It's already here, it's making a big, big difference across all the other sectors, and we can see it's having an impact in this area. The bulk of the presentations earlier have been on digital media or IT in terms of phones and that sort of information. What I'm going to talk about a bit more is hardware, telecoms, and visualization of data. I'm not going to be technical at all. It's just saying what we're about is making measurements, transferring the information from those measurements, and letting people make informed decisions, but on a sort of real-time basis. We're not about taking the information and doing a lot of data analytics over days or weeks or months. That information can be stored and used for that. In this case, it's very much about doing it in a real-time or quasi-real-time that allows you to make better informed decisions, both about your own business, but also about the services you offer. And the question is, why now? Well, the reason is all of these component technologies have improved over recent years. They've become more affordable. So there's sensors that can count people. They can measure the sort of carbon dioxide in this room. They can track bikes. They can do almost anything. They're much more robust than they used to be. And a lot of them can be battery operated that can last for 5 years, so you don't have to go out and maintain them all the time. The growth in the sector is huge. The communications, everybody's aware there's Wi-Fi, there's 5G coming. There's also new networks across the country that are servicing remote areas. And the advances in software technology in terms of analysing data or allowing you to make informed decisions just by tracking information you didn't even see within the data is improving on a daily basis. So I'm not an expert in tourism. These are the areas that people have been coming to us with over the last few months. A lot on understanding people flow. Now that could be in a city centre, a train comes in, or a boat arrives at a dock. Hundreds or thousands of people are coming out, they're coming into the city. Which way are they going? When they're coming out, where are they spending time? Tracking people, say, in a national park or in remote locations. How many people are walking the West Highland Way? Where are they spending most of the time in it? What facilities should they be making available to them? Even within a single venue like a museum, or when I was watching the presentations within a luxury cruise liner, knowing where people are. If too many people are in one area, how can you influence them to move out of that area into other areas? You can do that with things like smart lighting. Across the country, there's maybe some issues with data protection in terms of tracking people, but if you are signed up to apps, you can do this. But loyalty cards, phone apps, the whole shooting match. Assets, we're aware of hotels that are now using IoT for tracking laundry, so that they know where their laundry is. You can develop new services. Augmented reality and virtual reality were mentioned. I'd never come across XR before. You can use this to tailor tours, the personalisation. You can do real-time advertising. You can actually, if you go into some shopping malls now, they're offering adverts for different parts of the mall as you're in the place, so that you can actually identify there's people at different parts and where they are and influence them to go to different areas. There's also a lot of work happening in environmental monitoring, or just really monitoring of facilities, so that you know when you're actually having to spend some money to improve what you've got. Why are people doing this? It's very simple. It's to allow you to make better decisions about where you spend money. And it's to enable you to actually sort of influence the behaviours of your customers. Places like Barcelona have invested a lot, particularly in areas like car parking. And it's allowed them to minimise the sort of congestion in the roads, but also maximise the money that gets spent in the city, so that they can then invest in other areas. These are some examples of the sorts of projects we've been involved in recent years. The urban control is looking at the behaviour of crowds in train stations, and then actually influencing how you can sort of split the crowds up. That's using smart lighting. The Behringer one is in terms of it helps you count the number of people in a room, but also monitor the health of the building. There's different ones that are in terms of just counting people out in remote areas or monitoring the environment. The message I want to give you today is these technologies are out there. They're not that difficult to implement. The reason there's a need for places like Census is because there aren't enough people out there that know how to implement them. What we're there to do is to basically take your ideas and see if they work. So if you've got an idea for your business that's saying, I wonder if we did this, would it make the experience better? Or would it help us to offer a better service? Or would it save us some money? We can look at it with you and undertake a sort of proof of concept study. That's the goal we have. Lots of people are making lots of money out of this. Many of your competitors are already adopting these technologies. And all I can say to you is give us a call.